Hello, and welcome to ThatWillNevrWork podcast. I am your host, Maurice, and I hope that you enjoy listening to the upcoming episodes on this podcast, and feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on Chisholm Group. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat under the same moniker. Well, before I get into what That Will Never Work podcast is all about, let me give you a backstory. When I was a young man, my mom had a friend who owned a towing company, and he spoke to me about how he would repo vehicles and how much money he was making. And from that point forward, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I thought about it. I dreamt about it. I fortunately had a great uncle who owned his own construction company. And I looked up to him, and I noticed how many dump trucks he owned. I noticed what type of house he lived in, what type of Cadillac he was driving. And I noticed just the quality of suits and shirts and ties and things like that he owned. And so that inspired me to become an entrepreneur. In becoming an entrepreneur, I did not realize the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations, the happy times and the good times, the amount of work and effort and dedication it had taken to become an entrepreneur. Unfortunately, all I saw and all I was privy to were the pros of becoming an entrepreneur. So in that, I started this podcast called That Will Never Work. And I understand it's an oxymoron on, hey, let's be more positive. Let's try to put out there the most positive light on entrepreneurism, on schooling, on how to take care of yourself, things like that. But then you have those persons that really doubt that you have the skills, that you have the education, that you have the dedication to become who you want to be and or need to be, not just for yourself, but for your community, your friends, and your family. Hence, That Will Never Work podcast. We're trying to dispel some of those type of monikers that people have put on us, one way or the other. And it does not matter about race, creed, or sex. All of us, at some point in time, has been given some type of title as to why you cannot make it. Unfortunately, everyone doesn't see it that way. You know, we live in a society that has become very, very sexist and race driven. So let's try to put a different spin on it now. Let's look into creating an environment that increases awareness, that increases the support for your fellow man and or woman. And let's not forget our children. Let's allow them to be creatives, find their path, encourage them. So that's the purpose of That Will Never Work podcast, because I'm tired of being told that will never work. I hope that you tune in every week. We will have some very special guests. We will have some very special segments. We will talk about everything from how to prepare yourself for an interview. We will talk about just women in entrepreneurship. We will talk about how to maybe invest in homes and real estate. Maybe even looking forward to getting your own commercial place. We may even touch nutrition and fitness and things like that, because again, that falls under That Will Never Work. And we will talk to those persons who own these type of organizations and talk to you about their pros and cons of entrepreneurism and how it can affect you to become a better you, a better person for today and tomorrow. I thank y'all for tuning in, and welcome to That Will Never Work podcast.